Today we're doing something a bit different. We're going to talk about what it's like living with anxiety, at least what it's like for me living with anxiety. So, I have general anxiety disorder and social anxiety. Um, for the most part, I've been handling it for my whole life, so I'm pretty good at getting through my day to day, at least what's pretty normal to me. So, especially when things are duties, like things I feel obligated or required to do. So, work, I can usually get through work, uh, go to work every single day, don't miss work for that kind of thing. I've only had it happen a few times in my life where I had to miss work because of my anxiety. That doesn't mean that I'm at top of my game when I go to work, but I'll get to that in a little bit. However, it does affect other aspects of my life, and when I'm pushing it away to fulfill duties, what I'm really doing is like trying to push it back and forget about it. And oftentimes that results in me having a anxiety attack, panic attack, breakdown kind of situation happen. And in those situations, I basically cease functioning. I can't think about things rationally. The anxiety takes over, and I start sobbing, and I get angry, and like I sometimes like kick things. But usually it's very sad. I seek out comfort in forms, like snuggles or rain or sources of water, blankets. Uh, I just need to be away from most people in those situations, but the people who I care about, I do want them around me. But I can't fully explain, I don't think, what it's like living with anxiety because I don't know what it's like to live without anxiety. So I've been trying a few medications, and that's actually something that comes up because they're like, is it working? Well, I think it's working. I don't know. I still have anxiety, but I don't know if it's supposed to 100% eliminate the anxiety. So I'm not sure about that. This one's working better than my other tries, so we'll see. But I've got a few stories I can share. So, avoidance. One of the number one things my anxiety results is in me hitting extreme avoidance. So that might be avoiding to do things I need to do in the forms of procrastination. I'll like sit there in bed, not willing to get up. I'll take a bath and I'm in there for 3 hours. I, get on my phone and I just scroll and I scroll and I scroll and I'm not even looking at anything. I'm just in an app, like Whisper or Wish or Facebook, and I just keep scrolling and I'm not actually even necessarily paying attention or entertaining myself. It's just avoidance. And I'm not necessarily avoiding things I don't want to do. Like, I might want to read a book, or want to play video games, or want to go do something, or spend time with someone. I'm just not capable of doing it. There's a barrier there, and I'm avoiding it. It's a difficulty performing the task I need to do because the anxiety is preventing me from doing it sometimes. So, a few examples of this affecting my life. When I was a freshman in college, I was really, really into anime, and I was excited to find out my school had an anime club. And I had just really got into anime in the last year, 2 years, and so I was really excited to meet other people who were interested in it and form friendships based on that which is still something I really don't have. But back then, I really did want to make those connections. I really wanted to have someone to talk to things about, discover new anime. Um, and so there were a few times I remember I walked all the way to where the club meeting was being held. I got to the doors. I could see the meeting on the other side. I could see like people talking, having a good time. Film playing on a big like pull down projector. Um, and I couldn't go in. I walked all the way back. And that happened a few times before I gave up. You know, there's a time where I was going to go to a job interview. And I feel like I would have been successful at this job, but my anxiety had reached a level where I was convinced I was going to fail, and the person who was doing the interview was going to judge me, and it was going to be awful, and I didn't go. I couldn't go. I couldn't call them and tell them I wasn't going to come. I was just crying, and I was angry at myself, and I just couldn't go. And then they tried to call me to set up another appointment, but I wouldn't answer the phone because I didn't want to admit to them that I couldn't come, so I just ignored them. Pretended like they didn't exist, pretended like this type of thing had never happened. Yeah, this kind of thing happens over and over and over, like especially if I get overwhelmed by something. So like there was a time where I needed to go and I needed to drop out of a class that I was failing. And I wasn't able to face the professor, and so I missed the dropout deadline, ended up taking the failing grade because every time I tried to go do what I was supposed to do and talk to the professor, I couldn't do it. And since I knew I needed to drop the class and I didn't, I stopped going to class too. So, you know, that's a good example. And, you know, this affects me modern times too, where, you know, I need to go do something and I just can't. Like, 2 days ago, I needed to go to class because I seem to be the eternal student who's always in some kind of education. I really hope that won't be the case soon. And I feel a little overwhelmed by class. Like, things are coming to an end. We've had instructor changes, so I'm dealing with different instructors than I had for a majority of the class. I lost my job at work, so I've got a lot of anxiety building on that, and I'm not doing a very good job keeping track of the house like I said I would, and I'm supposed to be hunting for jobs, so I have a job after graduation, and there's all of this going on, and like a few hours before class, we're like getting the stuff to bake cookies, and I feel it like start to hit me, start to sink in, and I'm like, no, baking cookies with my boyfriend, that will relax me, it'll be pretty good. It didn't work out that way. Long story short, I ended up not going to class. Like, I couldn't. Like, it was avoidance. Like, maybe if I hide in the bathroom, or maybe I'll go get in the car and they'll think I'm going to class so they won't judge me. They won't know I'm freaking out and having anxiety problems, but then I won't go to class. You know, that kind of unhealthy ideology that I can't explain. Like, honestly, most of the time, the things that your anxiety causes you to avoid causes more anxiety and stress and problems in the long run. Like, I missed class last time because I felt overwhelmed. Well, now I'm even further behind in class. So now I'll be even more overwhelmed. And it's that kind of stacking. And also, they're going to ask me, like, oh, what happened on Tuesday? Why weren't you in class? What was wrong? I'm going to have to face that. Like, it's logically, you would go, okay, well, so the best way to avoid all of this is to just not put yourself in that kind of situation, but the anxiety doesn't let you do that all the time. So I don't have any amazing advice on how to handle it. I'm obviously not an expert on how to handle it, but it's just a little bit of insight. If you do have anxiety, I do recommend you talk to a doctor. They did try to put me in therapy a few times throughout my life, but for me personally, that caused more anxiety. It made things really bad. I'd start to have freakouts and panic attacks about going and talking to the therapist. That doesn't mean it won't work for you. I highly recommend it for most people. It is an amazing thing and they can really help you work through things. This last time they've decided to take the medication route, so we're trying some different medications. We've got to find medications that don't affect my other medications I'm on for other things, and we got to find one that really works. Like one of them they put on me on actually increased my anxiety, so that's a downside to the medication route. My doctor also has recommended things like, of course, exercise, meditation, and honestly, I should try those things, but I haven't. I just haven't. So, definitely, though, reach out for help if you have anxiety. It can morph into something very serious. It can take over your whole life. You don't want that to happen. But just realize that I think the statistics like 1 in 5 people are dealing with mental health issues, so you're not alone, and people aren't judging you as much as you think they are. I can preach that all I want. It doesn't stop my anxiety, but it is something to think about. Mental health is very important to talk about, and I just wanted to share my personal experiences with anxiety, and I don't know if it helps anyone. Thank you. Bye.